Hi guys and welcome to my channel, and in today's video I have a very special collaboration to show you all. So I collaborated with 4 to 5 teenagers who are following a zero waste lifestyle, and they're here to tell you how you can live sustainably and about their whole journey. So I'm also one of them, and I'll be showing each of the questions that were posed to them and how they answered it. And let's get started. I hope you learn from this video and you take your step towards sustainable living today.
Hi everyone, my name is Ava. I'm also known as the Zero Waste Teen on Instagram. I'm a 16-year-old living in the Bay Area, and this is kind of my zero waste journey.
My name is Aarushi and I'm 22.
Hi guys, I'm Luisa, I am 17 years old and I'm from Italy.
Hi, I'm Dyuthi and I'm 17 years old.
Shagun Jain, 16 years old. When did you start living sustainably?
I started to lead a more sustainable lifestyle in 2019.
I guess it was last year when I came across the concept of sustainability while educating myself more about veganism. That's when I decided that I want to, change my lifestyle and start living more sustainably.
So it all started roughly 4 years ago when I started watching YouTube videos and learning different little swaps I could do in my daily life. So that kind of got me started, but then it was like 2.5 years ago that my family kind of officially swapped over to being zero waste.
I started living sustainably in 2020 in the month of April.
So I started living sustainably 2 years ago when I came back from my London trip.
Why did you choose to live this lifestyle?
Why did I start living sustainably? Well, it is the need of the hour. We all know what we have done to the environment, and if we don't stop now, there's no way back. And I think more and more people, I think everybody should start living sustainably now.
So I became zero waste in the first place because I realized I could make a change and that I actually wanted to make that change. So to me, it's very important to focus on the health of our planet, because without the health of our planet or a planet, we won't be able to do anything else in the future. I really wanted to focus on ways I could help and essentially ways I could help other people help. So that's kind of why the Instagram started and all of that.
I started living sustainably because I felt that my action makes a difference and it has an impact. And learning about how plastic stays in the oceans and how it affects the animals and how it affects us and how it is affecting our lifestyles, it is in our food, it was even found in a placenta. And for that we have to take action and we have to start living consciously so that we are not causing harm to the environment.
I used to travel by public transport a lot, and everywhere I saw out the window there was like a lot of plastic and heaps of trash. And when I started gaining more awareness on plastic and how it harms us and the environment around us, I knew I had to make changes in my lifestyle so I wouldn't contribute to that.
I had been exposed to a lot of sustainability and sustainable living stuff. When I was in London, I saw how they really advocated for a green lifestyles and how well it was advertised. But in the same time, in the period, I've been getting like a lot of video suggestions on my YouTube and Instagram. For example, the first video I saw on YouTube, I think, was the TED Talk from Lauren Singer, and that's the girl that started the blog Trashes for Tossers and the Zero Waste Movement. So that's the first video I've seen on YouTube. And then on Instagram I saw the video with the turtle that got the straw stuck in her nose, and that was really heartbreaking to watch. I don't know, impacting for me. At the same time in my life, in that period, my uncle that has Down syndrome and suffers of low blood pressure kept fainting because of the heat waves that were hitting Italy in that period, and my dad said that it was because of the heat. So that is the point where I started making like connection between the climate change and how it affected my personal life, the animals, and I also found out there were some things that I could do to reduce my impact thanks to zero waste living.
How did your parents react to this change in lifestyle?
Initially, when I told my parents that I wanted to lead a more low-waste lifestyle, they were very happy because this would mean that I would stop consuming a lot of packaged food and I would think twice before buying anything, and I also had gained a lot of self-control. But when I told them that this also meant that I would start eating plant-based and start thrifting and stop buying from bigger brands, they were a little skeptical because these were some really big changes.
My parents had an in-between reaction because I didn't tell them that I wanted to go fully zero waste at the start, even though that was my intention. But I started telling them, like, can we buy a bamboo toothbrush? Can we stop using plastic bags? And I think I've also put a sign on the door to make them remember to bring reusables. So yeah, but when I started like asking like, can we stop doing this or this or this, they got a bit overwhelmed, I think, and they start like telling me we couldn't do it, that's not possible. But they had like, after a little bit, they have been supporting. There some days they're just over me and the things that I say, but they're overall supportive.
Wanted to make it, you know, very important that my family and I switched as well, because that way I can change 4 other people's habits. Obviously they're changing their own habits, but I'm, you know, suggesting and helping them do that. And I think, you know, as a family, we've become like an example of it being not as difficult as people think. And hopefully they can have more of an impact on individuals later in life.
Well, my parents, they have mixed reactions. You know, sometimes they're supportive, mostly and only when it's convenient for them. Like, for example, my dad is fine with shampoo bars, but when I talk about switching to shaving bars, he's not really that comfortable with it. And with my mom, when we had to buy new containers for the kitchen, I suggested glass ones, but she wasn't comfortable with them, and she ended up buying those plastic ones because they're easy to handle.
I would say that my parents supported this, and like most of the changes that I've been trying to adopt in my lifestyle with removing plastic bags and start switching to bamboo toothbrushes. So they are the ones who are paying for it, and I would say that they have been a really good support, as they are the ones who are actually encouraging me to take up this lifestyle, because they also know that the impact it's going to have on the future legacies and generations. What are the struggles that you face while following this lifestyle? The main struggles that I face today is finding authentic and sustainable and ethical brands. While most of the marketing people use sustainability as a marketing tool, which is not correct. So I would say the struggle would be following a perfect zero waste lifestyle, which I feel that nobody can do. We don't need perfect zero waste following people or vegans. We need thousands of imperfect people doing it and following it. And the main struggle will be creating awareness and then finding ethical and sustainable brands, even though I'm really happy to say that we have so many coming up, and you should check out my other YouTube videos if you want to find ethical and sustainable brands, because that is something was a struggle that I am facing and I faced, but I don't want you to face. So I have like made a whole list of sustainable and ethical brands which you can check out.
My biggest struggle in the initial months when I started practicing a more low-waste lifestyle is that whenever I would go to gatherings, I would see heaps of single-use plastic in the form of decorations or cups and plates, and this would really irritate me, and I also felt a little helpless, and I actually avoided going out anywhere for a long time. But I slowly realized that I can only do what is in my hand, and I can't care about every single thing.
There have been a lot of struggles, and for me, most of them arise due to the fact that I live in the outskirts. So to find anything sustainable is nearly impossible. So I have to order them online most of the times. Most of the times it comes in plastic packaging and like heaps of plastic. So, you know, I'm just stuck between what to do, you know, whether to buy it or not. So I'm really looking for products, for brands that send the products in sustainable packaging. Apart from which, you know, there's so much difficulty in finding vegan substitutes, especially where I live. Even online, they deliver it into metro cities, so it's really, really hard.
So the biggest struggle I think I face living zero waste. That was a genuine response. I don't think I have a struggle. I truly love it. And I don't think I would change anything. I think any, little hurdle we face, not that I can think of one at the moment, or sometimes we will be buying something without plastic and then one time make a slip up, and I don't think that's a struggle. I think it's it's part of the learning process and realizing, okay, we made that mistake, how can we definitively fix it in the future? And I wouldn't even call that a struggle. I just think it'd be part of the process. And I don't know if there's anything I would call part of the struggle.
What are some challenges? So my parents sometimes are a challenge because they make me do some stuff. And of course I'm not in control of everything in the household, so I can't control all our family. But also living in the south of Italy, I've realized that we have really few resources to make sure we are zero waste. You have to go out and find them. They're not in your face. So if you don't care about it like I do, they're actually for normal people to use. And even though I care, sometimes I struggle to find them. I think at the start was really difficult, but after 2 years now I think I found an alternative almost for everything. And sometimes where there is none, I make my own. So I've learned to adapt.
What was your first switch towards a sustainable living?
Our first swap as a family was going to the bulk food store. We have a local bulk food store known as Rainbow Grocery, just around, not far from us. And we brought our own containers into the store. We would fill it up with just the amount we needed. And so we wouldn't be paying for the packaging for the bulk food, or the food that the food came in. And we'd be, creating basically no waste with our food, or at least the bulk food section. So then once that started, we slowly began to do more swaps. So for example, we then shifted to bamboo toilet paper from Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. And that's a more sustainable option than plastic, toilet paper that comes in plastic wrapping. So then it kind of kept going like that. And we kept going on to the next swap and switching things that we use in our daily life.
The first thing I did when I learned about all this, I immediately stopped eating packaged food. And the first switch I made was I switched to cloth pads, and I bought a steel straw immediately because I used to drink a lot of coconut water on the roadside. So that was my first switch. And as soon as I started using the cloth pad, I gave my feedback to my sister and my mother, and after a few months even they started using it.
So my first switch was buying a bamboo toothbrush. So yes, I think that's the first purchase I've made. Then, as I said, I put a sign on the door to tell my parents to bring reusable. And then I think the few things I've done at first was trying to find a place to shop groceries plastic free. That's really hard because we don't have a lot of options here in the supermarkets. Even though now they are starting to introduce the bulk section in one of the supermarkets I go to, but at first I had to go to the market of my town that happens once a week, so I needed to buy my staples there. Fruit, veg, and nuts. That's the thing I can buy plastic free. And yeah, I think that's the first three things I did when I started living sustainably.
My first switch would be using a bamboo toothbrush, and I was really happy and really satisfied with it. Now it's been about 6-7 months that I'm still using a bamboo toothbrush because I feel that it's similar to what the plastic toothbrush used to feel like, and it's better for the environment. And after using 2 bamboo toothbrushes, I took off the bristles and I potted them in my plant so that they can decompose there.
Somewhere that the most sustainable item is the one you already have. So I decided to use up everything that I already own before buying the new sustainable products. And I think that will be my actual first step to sustainability, to not waste the products.
What is your take on the statement that sustainable living is expensive?
So when people think zero waste living is expensive, I understand. I truly do. At first I thought it was as well. But then I realized that being zero waste is an investment up front. So you are going to spend quite a bit more money in one go, or every time you buy one product, instead of breaking up into little bits over time. So an example for that would be a leaf shave razor. So those are reusable razors. Now let's take a plastic razor pack from Target. Those are gonna last, those are about $12, I think, and one pack is probably gonna last you a month. So that's 12 times 12, cannot do the math off the top of my head. But if you're gonna buy a leaf shave razor, it's gonna be $80. And so a leaf shave razor is gonna last you years, if not a lifetime. So you're already making that money back before the end of a year. So you are gonna save so much more money on the long run, and even though you're spending $80 up front, you're gonna be, technically saving money. So I think that's what a misconception is it's a lot of money to be zero waste, but not really, because it's just a lot of money in one go, but you're technically saving over time. You just need to be consistent with being zero waste and using those products to maximize your investment in them.
Well, according to me, I don't think living sustainably is that expensive, because when you start living sustainably, you become a conscious consumer and you stop buying stuff that you really don't need. Also, switching to sustainable products that could be a bit more expensive. But for example, if you buy a shampoo bar, it could cost you a bit more than your regular shampoo. It will last longer. Trust me, it does, because it doesn't have too much water content in it. It does last longer, just being one example. What actually is expensive is something that's costing you your environment.
Sustainable living is mostly reducing and reusing, so I think it is way more cheaper than people expect it to be. I alone save a lot of money every month by avoiding sanitary pads, junk food, and any impulse buying in a grocery shop. I didn't immediately buy anything I needed to live more sustainably. Instead, I made slow changes along the way. Like example, I used to use a lot of moisturizer before when my skin used to dry out, but instead I use coconut oil, which is way more cheaper. And I started using this tooth powder, which comes in a glass bottle. It's really small, but it lasts me for a whole 5 months, and it's only 100 rupees. So when I made easier and cheaper switches like this, I didn't feel that sustainable living was as expensive.
When people say that sustainable living is expensive, I would say that no, it's not, and it's just a myth. Now, sustainable living, people can take it to be or perceive it to be expensive, because there are a lot of organizations and a lot of companies are just doubling and tripling the prices again as a marketing tool. But sustainability is using what you have at home first and then making better choices, and you have to just start by making one switch at a time. Now, I understand that it can be a luxury for some, as someone might not be able to afford a 50 rupees bamboo toothbrush, but companies today are taking an effort to make it available to each and every person. So I would say no, sustainability is not expensive. You can be sustainable by saving water in your house. You can be sustainable while studying. You can be sustainable in your fashion choices, in your home choices. And there are a lot of areas where you can be sustainable and you don't actually need a metal straw or a glass jar or sustainable products to show that you're living sustainably.
Sustainable living can be expensive or affordable, as well as a vegan lifestyle. I think you can make it as you prefer. You can be able to fit your budget, because if you go out there and buy 200 zero waste essentials, that's gonna be expensive. But there are a lot of things you can make yourself, you can reuse. So I think that's the part when it actually saves you money. Sometimes where I try to convince my parents to do something, I bring that up. I say, we're gonna save money in this way. It's not gonna be expensive or something like that. So as a teenager, it's inexpensive because I don't have a lot of money, so I don't want to spend them on things I can make myself. And yeah, definitely can be inexpensive. Of course, it takes time to do your own stuff, but if you're willing to do that, it can actually be more affordable.
What advice will you give to people who want to start living zero waste or start living a conscious lifestyle?
What advice I have to give? Well, this would be from my personal experience. Do not be too hard on yourself. This is a drastic change in a lifestyle, and it won't happen overnight or in a short span of time. Take small changes, get used to it, because it's a slow and gradual process. Also, do not ever forget to look into the positive side of it. What I was doing is I was only looking at whatever negative is going around the world, which actually made me into a negative person. I was full of negativity. It's equally important to look at what positives are, positive things that are going around in the world, because the balance is really important. That's what actually keeps you going. Yeah, that would be it.
My advice would be just do what you're doing and don't think about what others are telling you, and do it because you want to have a purpose in life and you want to create change and you want to do something good for the environment, and you're never too late to start something good. So start today, start now, do whatever you can. No need to buy and waste a lot of money on sustainable things. Just start with something. Start with creating awareness, start with in getting involved in activism, start with saving paper, saving water in your house. These are the basic steps that actually matter. Start by voting towards a green government.
Plastic free in the ways that you can, invest in reusables if you can, or maybe sometimes I think we already had a lot of reusables, so we just had to dust them up and start using them. But yeah, I think small changes are really important, and you don't have to beat yourself up if you're not perfect. You can't be perfect. The system doesn't allow you to be perfect. But I think small changes are really powerful, and I found that they really bring change in other people. Since I've started living sustainably and being vegetarian / now I'm vegan. But yeah, all my friends around me, they stop / reduce their consumption of meat. They all think about the plastic they produce and tell me about it when we are together. My classmates, half of them, after I start bringing my reusable bottle, they started bringing their reusable. So I think if you are thinking about starting a sustainable lifestyle, definitely do it, because you're gonna inspire other people. I think it's really important to lead by example. And yeah, there are these small changes you can do, and they can make a huge difference because they're gonna inspire other people. And when something is done by a group, it of course has more of an impact. And my classmate, they did a little bit make fun of me at the start, but now they're doing the same things I do, so don't be scared. They are gonna feel inspired by you. They just make fun of you because there's something different if they're not used to it and they don't understand it yet.
First, use everything you have to the maximum extent. My father used to hoard these little hotel toiletries, those small bottles with shampoo and conditioner, etc. And when I started reading A Low Waste Lifestyle and there was just a drawer of these in my house, I just freaked out completely and avoided them for a long time. But then I started using all these, and when I used them all up, then I started buying more sustainable products, an alternative to these. So use up everything you have. Also start with small changes, because when you make a big change, like you want to go sustainable in one day, you lose motivation when this doesn't happen. But trust me, it will happen, because small changes help you stay more focused and tracked. And when you do lose motivation, always remember why you're doing this and how it helps you going zero waste.
What do you aim to achieve by following this lifestyle? What I aim to achieve by living this lifestyle is basically creating an example that living sustainably, living ethically, living consciously is not difficult and anyone can do it. If a normal teenager like me can do it, then I feel anyone in the world can follow this zero waste lifestyle.
Well, my aim would be doing my part in saving the earth and fulfilling my responsibilities towards Mother Nature, and to inspire the people to do their part. Thank you.
So the ultimate goal of being zero waste is to get as close to that zero as possible. So sending no waste whatsoever to landfill and producing no waste whatsoever. It's practically impossible because of the society we live in, but it's getting as close to that as possible. That is the ultimate goal. Another goal of mine would be to educate and share as much as I know with as many people as possible, because I think it's very important that people know the impact of what they're, of the waste they're sending to landfill and of solutions, because I think getting more information out there, people can then make their own choice, and you would hope they would make the right choice and try to reduce as much waste as possible.
So my advice to teenagers who want to live sustainably would be start learning and understand everything about sustainability, because sometimes we think something is sustainable, but turns out we have to look at it in different angles, so it isn't actually sustainable. And so first learn, start getting a general idea of how you can implement sustainable living in your life, and then start small. Start with the staples: bamboo toothbrush, water bottle, and try to be plastic free in the ways that you can. Invest in reusables if you can, or maybe sometimes I think we already had a lot of reusables, so we just had to dust them up and start using them. But yeah, I think small changes are really important, and you don't have to beat yourself up if you're not perfect. You can't be perfect. The system doesn't allow you to be perfect. But I think small changes are really powerful, and I found that they're really bring change in other people.
By following this lifestyle, I hope to create a less negative impact on the environment around us. And every time I go out with a cutlery and a water bottle, my friends ask me, why am I carrying all this stuff? And because of this, I also want to create more awareness and break the stigma around zero waste lifestyle. And following this lifestyle has given me a tremendous amount of self-control I never knew I had.
What other thing do you feel is important for the environment besides following a zero waste lifestyle?
One thing that I think is potentially more important than zero waste living is carbon emissions. Now, if you had to choose between being zero waste and reducing your carbon emissions, I would reduce your carbon emissions. Now, obviously both are very important, and if you can do both, do both. But I think focusing on your carbon emissions, so your planes, your driving, all of that, and demanding companies to be more eco-conscious, especially with their carbon emissions, and trying to be carbon neutral, will have a much bigger impact than being zero waste. Not saying that being zero waste doesn't have an impact, because that is completely false. I think that waste is not pretty to have on this planet. It creates greenhouse gases with the suffocation of food in landfill. That's a whole different story. But I think, and it obviously is detrimental to wildlife, but I think carbon emissions has a bigger impact as a whole on the planet. And if we have too much emissions in the atmosphere, we won't really be able to breathe, and we won't have plants growing, and this is hopefully very far down the line, and hopefully never, if we are able to reverse it. But I think that's why we need to focus on it, because we will get to a point of no return. And so I think maybe that issue is more important than zero waste living. But once again, both are very important. And if you can do both, and if you can demand your local companies or even big corporations to be carbon neutral, that is the best thing you can do.
One thing I feel that is more important for the environment rather than just leading a zero waste lifestyle is eating plant based for sure. I was a vegetarian before and I knew that meat is murder, but little did I know that milk is also murder. I learned a lot about the dairy industry and how the cows are artificially inseminated and then the babies are separated from their mothers, all just so that we could have milk and some cheese on our pasta. And I made it my 2020 resolution to go vegan completely. I slowly changed my diet and I went vegan for 3 days in a week, and this slowly increased.
One thing I feel which is more important than sustainable living is basically calling upon the corporations and governments to take action. Coca-Cola was the highest plastic polluter for the third time in a row, and we have to force such corporations to take action and do something about it, because they are the ones who are causing this menace, who are creating pollution. 100 corporations are responsible for 71% of the carbon emissions in the air. So I would say it's not the individual's fault, it's the companies and the corporations' fault. And government who think that doing this would actually enhance the economy, no. You're destroying our environment just because you want to earn money, which is not correct.
Other than zero waste lifestyle, I'd like to talk about something that's way more important than a zero waste lifestyle, is a sense of gratitude and empathy, without which I don't think anybody would even go for a zero waste lifestyle. To develop that sense of gratitude, that you're thankful for everything Mother Nature, Earth, environment is offering you, I don't think you could ever would want to pay it back. Also, an empathy for the people around who will be suffering for any, all these, whatever these things are happening, the animals, the people who are suffering because of climate change. The sense of empathy that you want to save the environment for our future children, for the animals living in this planet. I think that is what is more important, developing the sense of gratitude and empathy.
So the other thing that is, I think it's really important to do, other than following a sustainable lifestyle, as I said, a sustainable lifestyle, a small action, inspire other people, so it can be a group thing, and it also makes you, feel better, and helps with your eco-anxiety, so the anxiety you feel about the planet. But I think it's really important to demand the system change, because we don't have a lot of time to have a significant impact and reverse the climate crisis. We need system change. So we're teenagers, but I'm 17 and I'm gonna be like, I can vote in a year. So if you're 18, vote. If you're a teenager, try to talk to your school and implement sustainable practice there, because even the school is a system, and if you can change one environment, it's really important. Then talk with your relatives and parents, they can vote, and I have this kind of discussion every dinner, but yeah, you need to talk about the things that you care about, and after a lot of conversation they might actually change their mind. Go and protest. Of course, now we're in COVID and we can't really do that, but when we are we have to protest and demand system change. Also, I think system change can be applied in how can I say, in business. I think the way you buy the way you can vote with your dollar is really important, even for the big companies, because they follow where the money goes. As if we put the money in sustainable alternatives, they have to adapt. So I think if you maybe like doing a gift, if you are asking for something, always try to support sustainable businesses. So because you're telling that we want this stuff, so companies are gonna try and be actually green. Please don't buy into greenwashing.
That's it. Bye-bye. Leave in the comments below which answer did you like the most. And you can also answer these questions in the comments below if you're a teenager following a zero waste lifestyle. That's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.